and heading for the time being towards the Port of the Nameless. It's a good 2-week trip. Unfortunately, the wind doesn't hold as much as she was hoping, and there are times where you are just dead in the ocean. But the few people that pass by are friendly enough, and you stay along the major shipping routes, so no trouble finds you. Is there any kind of like little narrative vignettes or anything you guys would like to do before we get there?
Is there anyone in the crow's nest?
Oh yeah, of course. There's plenty of I think it's gun whales or things like that. Men kind of up on top, keeping an eye on things.
Well, that's my bedroom, naturally.
Oh, really?
No. It's because I'm a crow.
Okay, I didn't know. I have no idea. But yeah, there is one. You'd have to kind of let yourself up the ropes, but you could climb.
Nah, I think he'll just stay on deck.
Okay. Yeah, people seem to kind of keep their distance. The crew doesn't quite mingle with all of you. And with Crow in particular, they give a very big distance. All except for one man who seems to have kind of been pushed forward. Crow, at some point while you're on the deck, you'll hear a man's voice behind you say, "Oh, which one are you? Flintlock? Gavel?"
He'll turn.
"Peace, sir. Your name. It's not often you get to meet a Kohler."
Oh, here we go. I'll give him a test. Crow is going to give him a menacing glare and to see if he persists. So I'm going to roll a provoke to see if the boy stays.
Will of one. Let's see.
All right.
Oh! Yeah, all right.
You passed the test.
My
he
fate
will-
play is just like a person playing Guitar Hero and missing, only hitting like every second note. So the
Hit star power, it'll keep you in. Do it! Tilt the guitar up!
do it.
Let him see you!
It's broken. I dropped the guitar once, and now that the star power doesn't work.
He will kind of expound and say, "I've always been a respectful servant to the ocean. I promise."
The ocean is not thy judge.
He is just like nodding like, "Oh my god, this dude's actually telling me something." He just continues and says, "Then who is?"
The anchorfish.
"It's real."
Aye.
"I always heard stories about the anchorfish." And he will just kind of like, there will be a fucking terror in his eyes as he seems to look to his right and notice how deep and dark the ocean is. "Well, I don't want to offend, sir. I'm sorry for taking your time."
Yeah, he just looks over all of them.
Yeah, they will kind of pass word, and once he returns and kind of recounts stuff, there will definitely be mention of the anchorfish, and some curious eyes, and even a few people looking over to the side, almost expecting to see the thing trailing behind them.
Yeah, I'm gonna do my thing where I try to turn a man into an animal. He's going to grip before they get back. He's going to grip this runt by the shoulder and lean in and say, "It only hungers for the weakest. Art thou?"
No, that's Peter. Peter.
Peter.
Everyone.
Pete?
Yeah, you will see a few people stand behind him. This guy is obviously the fucking runt. There isn't a single dude on here who's as small as this man.
Puny Pete.
Yeah. Pete grabbing the masthead.
Yeah.
And he will just kind of like in terror, kind of look back at everyone who chuckles a bit, and a few who breathe a sigh of relief, realizing that he's the one that would be taken.
Pete's not relieved.
No, yeah, Pete's big. Pete can survive.
It's not good, Pete.
Yeah, so I'm going to try to radicalize Peter into action. And this one's just for him. I didn't mean for the original, but here we are. I'm going to whisper just to him. Thou art as strong as thou art perceived.
Oh, man. Yeah, you will see a kind of coolness settle into his eyes as he looks at you and your tide color implements and down at himself, and then evenly at the people who are starting to dissipate on this deck. He'll just kind of like flex his fingers and then move off.
Crow just nods.
Which is not to say if there's anything else you guys would like to do. We're about a weekend.
Yeah, I think all I'd really have to say is I think the Pale Lady will spend the majority of her time looking toward the north and probably singing a lot, singing for the damned souls of the Rat Isles.
Yeah.
I
Go ahead.
do have probably one quick thing before we make landfall.
Mm-hmm.
So one of these times that you're looking out towards the north, you will hear the unmistakable shambling of Rakote unstealthily approaching.
Ugh.
Ugh. Ugh. Ugh. My chair.
He's
Stuck on a lip.
Stairs.
His lip is not letting him out.
Yes.
It's like the scene is way too long of him trying to get up the stairs. And they didn't cut it well.
It's a hell of a climb. It like zooms out. It's like fucking 3 steps.
That's three
It's like
steps.
a little half level.
That's awesome.
She's probably just been spending the majority of this time recuperating after their escape from the Isles. So she will kind of turn her head as she hears the clatter behind her.
Yeah, he will. He'll approach and just sort of stand beside you, looking in the same direction that you are as he clutches his cane. And he'll say, "Pardon the interruption."
It is not.
He'll turn his head towards you and he'll say, "I have a fairly strong understanding on what it is Rastavan and Crow the Sailor need from me as their captain. But I do wonder of you. What is it you seek beyond the seas?"
She'll just she'll lift a finger and she'll just point north. Just a featureless horizon.
He will look, obviously not understanding, and he'll say, "The sky, then."
It is as I told you. I seek passage through, what is it called? The Siren Sea.
Yep.
Yes, I recall. But might I ask why?
She'll take her hand and she'll kind of like touch her sternum and she'll say, "Because I must. It calls to me. I cannot stave it off any longer." though I have tried.
He says, "You'll forgive an aging man who is but made from the islands where he grew. What calls to you and why?"
I do not know. All I know is that it has called to me for a long time. It was soft at first, but as the years, decades, washed away the roughest edges like a stone, it is louder now, and I must go to it.
He'll accepting that answer. He'll sort of nod, and he'll say,
Like,
yeah.
perhaps you're not understanding what I'm asking.
He's just stuck in a logic loop he can't progress from. Like, yes, but when you get there, what will be waiting? Yeah, he'll sort of nod at that, and he'll say, "Destiny, then."
Purpose. Or the end. I cannot say.
Um, he will actually be a little disturbed at that. And yeah, he
Cool.
yeah, great, yes.
So what else you
yes.
doing?
Um, yeah, on the notion of the end and the implication that perhaps you could be gone before him, he'll be very unsettled by that. Um, and he'll say, "Well, whatever waits for you, nothing has changed. I gave you my word, and we shall see you through to the Siren Seas."
Very well.
Uh,
So long as you are in possession of a vessel, I will assist you.
yeah, he'll nod at that. He'll sort of wrap his hand on his cane a couple times, and then as awkwardly as he shambled up, he'll shamble away.
Yeah, she'll sort of watch you out of the corner of her glassy eyes, and then return to her observation of the North Sea.
He'll awkwardly make a joke that she doesn't hear, and when she asks, he goes, I said, nothing. Oh, taking a call." And then he'll put his phone to his ear, and then he'll get a text that shows that he wasn't on the phone, and then he'll
Yes.
quickly shuffle out, but he'll like hit the side of his hip on the door frame.
Yeah, as he's saying that joke, a very loud noise coincides with him speaking. Just really fun when that happens when you're talking to somebody. It's just like, oh, what? And the bell was ringing.
What did you say?
It's fucking seagull.
What?
Grizzella Palace. Perfect. In that case, the rest of the days will just kind of fall by the wayside. Moon rises and sets, but eventually it rises on the capital, the Two-Faced capital. To the east, the Parliament of Pleasure, the bureaucratic center of the Shallows, and further to the west, the Port of the Nameless, a shipping port where all of the laborers and day traders basically keep the goods of the empire moving. And in between these two, a kind of balance is found. In the port of the Nameless, you see an old thing, a city 200 years old, and then reflected in it, directly across the Parliament of Pleasure, a modern metropolis. Both equally important, and one always needing the other. Captain Laszlo would kind of call you all up eventually as the sun rises over this and you pass through the narrow pass. As you travel through the narrow pass, a large fortress kind of looking down on your vessel as you follow a procession of other vessels heading to the port. She will just kind of look up after it, and you all will slowly move closer and closer towards Rakote, what has been your home for so long. And let me drag us on here. Rakote and crew, you are deposited at this eastern point over here, a bit further away from your own lodgings, which are down here in the southwest end, Rakote. But seeing this city is probably just a godsend after so many days away from it.
Oh, absolutely.
The Port of the Nameless is a bustling thing. There are plenty of merchants, sailors, fishermen, all lining alongside the docks, displaying their wares, talking, just kind of living in the life that the monarchy affords them. All of this kind of framed by these old stone buildings that have been replaced or fortified with wood. There is basically nothing you can't find here as long as you have the coin to back it up. It is a merchant's paradise, and that is what greets you as the sun rises overhead. And just kind of looking over all of you, you will hear Captain Laszlo say firmly, "Make sure you avoid the trouble that got you here in the first place. Gold shirts catch wind of you again. They're going to question you. They're going to want to know how you escaped, and they're going to make you suffer for it. Don't give them the chance."
Yeah, Rakote will sort of look from her to the rest of the crew, and he'll say, "Second chances are rare enough. There will not be a third."
Just don't spill too much blood. Just the kind you have to. She will kind of look towards the shore again, standing alongside Mueller. And then there will be a board brought across the bow of the ship, and solid land will be offered to you.
I walk out, obviously completely ignoring teacher's words.
For sure.
Yeah, I'll walk across.
I thought
Have I-
challenged, no.
Have I witnessed any acts of violence on the behalf of Peter towards any bigger, stronger crewmates?
Oh, for sure. Yes, there have been at least 2 fistfights, both of which Peter have lost. Just a whelp, and the others seem to make sure that he knows it.
I don't like this narrative for Peter.
Sorry. I shouldn't have said Peter. I literally would have chose any other name out. I wish. It's
Oh.
like Wells Fargo all over again.
Yeah, Captain Laz and Peter.
Yeah. I really did this to myself. But yeah, each of you are able to walk out into the city streets, and no one tries to kill you. No one tries to sell you a rat. You are just in a city. And if anything, the smells of good cooking are all around you.
Yeah, I'll do it. In the sequence of us departing, a thrice bruised Peter will lie down on his pillow and find something hard underneath and uncover a gnarled hook.
Whoa. All right. I'm thinking Peter might stick around a little bit.
All right, begin combat. Peter charges
Yeah.
the deck, attempting to just hook everybody.
Yeah, he there will be a shot of Peter's thumb kind of running along the edge of it, and he will look up the side of the boat, and then kind of come up and not see you.
Hard cut to Peter using the hook to hoist the fucking rope to hang himself with.
Oh my god.
This will do excellently. Yeah,
I leave and immediately murder someone fresh off the boat.
Oh, come on. I literally just said don't.
I kill the first person I see.
Oh.
That's a gold shrimp.
Oblivion combat music starts.
I flip a coin.
Dum, 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 dum.
You ask them heads or tails. It's a direct rip from
For-
No Country.
If the first person I see is a man, then I kill him, and the first person I see is a woman, and I just immediately buckle and kill her. It's pointless. I just really want
What happens when you see a child?
Is it a man or a woman? Doesn't matter. I kill him.
Kill half of them.
Yeah, you kill indiscriminately. You're a real fucking hero.
I'm a feminist. I kill no matter what you
Yep.
are.
Yep, for sure. And you'll see Laszlo's ship starting to unload its weight of packages, but her attention is pulled towards that, and Mueller, for his part, just kind of nods to each of you and says, "Captain, thanks for putting in a good word." You can tell that he means it when he looks at you, Rakote.
He'll say, of course, Lucas. We'd not have made it off the island without you.
Yeah, well, good luck.
You as well, Lucas. Try not to find your way back.
Yeah, he will give a quick smile, and then he will leave off, kind of disappearing into the crowd.
He'll look to the rest of everybody, and he'll say, well, I know what my first order of business is, but by all means, Port of the Nameless is as rife for bustling adventure as any city in these seas.
I walk away mid-sentence.
He'll let him go. He'll say, do feel free to experience the local flavors as we make our way south.
Where is your ship?
South, obviously, where I am heading.
Yeah, I'll come with you.
And so where's the ship?
Okay. Cool. Before I forget, every one of you can add 3 crowns to your character sheet as payment for from the captain in good faith, Captain Laszlo. And also, kind of regarding the documents, Rakote, you realize that you were afforded quite a few supplies. Everything a new captain would need, she seems to have thought of. So that is going to give you +3 will and +3 physique towards traversing the ocean challenges. So this is the
excellent.
beginning of your collection of 25 and 25 if you want to make it across the Siren Sea.
Great.
So, yep, each of you go ahead and add that, and we will follow the core group first, and then we'll come back to you, Crow, to see where you end up.
Guys, I gotta warn you. I played his other campaign. Don't this lost dog shit. Don't even bother. He's been desperate to get some lost dog shit in his campaigns, and we don't entertain it.
Yeah, but it's a 12-foot tall boy.
It doesn't.
I'm not
see, he's
gonna
trying
not talk to the giant.
That's just what gets you in the door. It's about the lost dog. And trust me, you don't want to bother.
There's a fucking Nephilim here. I need to talk to it. I will walk away though as soon as he's like, "Oh, woe is me, my lost dog."
Yeah.
I'm not even the central thing in this quest. I'm really just the buy-in.
The fact that he's a 12-foot tall boy never comes up again. We bring the dog back, he just takes it by the leash and stomps away, and we never see him again.
Step into my normal-sized house. Normal for me. It's very mundane. If that dog was big, at least it'd be something, but the dog is
The
normal.
dog's normal too. The dog.
It's
really
nothing.
normal.
The dog's fucking scared of the giant boy.
and ran away from him.
No.
Oh
that
God, you
dog's
already know
not-
the quest.
That dog's
Okay.
not lost. It's fleeing.
Didn't even sync his walk cycle. He's like walking out of sync. He's so big. It's fucking stupid.
Listen, everyone. I'm getting some training recently, and I can tell you, this dog is definitely exhibiting defensive aggression toward the 12-foot boy that's trying to clutch it in its hands.
Okay.
Yep. It's smiling. That is not what that is.
Yeah.
You are so wrong.
Yeah. Now, a smile does mean he's very happy, but these can be mixed signals.
All right. Leslie, you're not coming here. Why are you here?
Yeah.
What the fuck is that?
So, what are you guys doing later?
In that case, we will follow you all heading west from the dock towards the center of town. You kind of have to follow the main thoroughfares, but it's an easy enough thing. In Rakote, these streets are your own. No matter how long you are away from them, you seem to know exactly where you need to go to find the familiar warehouse in which you store your anophylae, correct?
Mm-hmm.
It is a giant kind of structure neighboring the canal, which makes it prime location because you do not have to constantly request dock access from the municipal workers that attend it. And this kind of large structure, as you get closer and closer, I'd like to imagine your kind of footfalls quicken.
Oh,
As you
absolutely.
see it exactly as you left it. Large. No expense left for a building that was meant to inspire strength and belief and celebrate the prosperity of your new business. All of it is exactly as you remember it.
Yeah, Rakote, his worst fear that the business would be burned down, not having been realized, hastens his steps until he's practically hobble running towards it. But will remember the decorum of a captain as he slows to a more acceptable pace as he comes in view of the doors.
Yeah, and they just seem to be waiting for you.
Yeah, he will walk in completely unannounced, being who he is.
All right, and as you push the doors open, you are met with a very hard thing. It is empty.
Oh,
Oy.
All except for your ship. But there were things here. There were people. There was a business. There were crates waiting to be shipped. There was people marching back and forth, planning the routes that you yourself charted. And that's all gone. There's just kind of like a hollow husk of this building. And your beautiful Anthony kind of mutilated in the center of it.
yeah. There's a shot of him. I liked the triumphant music build up to that of him throwing the doors open and then just sort of freezing in place as the singular clop of his cane echoes in the empty warehouse, and he looks upon the only thing he has left to his name, his ship.
You know, kind of wilts from one side to the other, just taking on the movements of the water. But you see that there is a board that you could traverse and get on the deck if that's what you wish.
Yeah, he will, as he does so, sort of look around regarding the empty space. It's almost like he's making too many movements. And Rakote is not a subtle man with his anatomy. He has to fucking swivel his shoulders to look around with his hunchback, and almost like he's expecting one of these times to see something that he knows isn't there. Looking from empty corner to empty corner, hoping to see a crate or something. His feet sort of carry him involuntarily forward up the plank as his hands find the rail of the side of the ship when he's finally on board.
Yeah. And the moment just kind of hangs there for a second. Then you hear a voice behind you say, Captain?
Uh, he will turn immediately and regard First Mate Robert Davis.
Robert Davis has a pretty bad wound in his head, and he seems to have been holding a rag to it. But seeing you, he will immediately bring his boots together. Salute. It's an honor to have you aboard, sir.
Uh, he will look over to the first mate, who is standing in salute, and just about broken. His lips will quiver as he just sort of clutches and unclutches the cane, trying not to break with the emotion. And he'll just say, "First Mate Davis, what has happened to you?"
He attempted to run me off, sir. I assure you, they couldn't. He will lower his hand at that.
I couldn't have asked for a finer first mate. You have my gratitude, Davis.
He will just nod and say, "You are my captain, and the Anna Lee is my ship, no matter how she looks."
He'll say, "They did this, Tyburn."
Of course they did, sir. How are we going to make this right?
He will regain his composure a little, and he'll say, "The Anna Philly built her empire from nothing once before. She will not be stopped again." And he'll say, "Are there gods? Like, would you say gods plural?"
Yeah, that's fine.
He'll say, "The gods have blessed me with the shell of a vessel. They have blessed me with the space with which to do business. And clearly they have blessed me with you. But fortune continues to smile upon the Anaphilie and I." And he'll gesture towards the pale lady in Rostavan. Who did you guys come on the ship? Or are you just hanging out like your mom's talking to somebody in a grocery
Cracked
store?
open your Ritz crackers package.
That we haven't paid for yet, yeah.
I imagine the Pale Lady's been kind of stalking around the harbor. I don't know that she came on.
I would be walking around the. This isn't a big warehouse, right?
No, I think it looks bigger because it's so empty.
Yeah, it's a big rectangle right now.
Yeah.
Okay, so he'll be kind of walking the length of the ship on the pier, looking at how fucked up it is. I guess is probably what he's doing at this point.
Yeah. Yeah, it's still. I mean, you have a bit of training in crafts. It seems like parts of this ship were stripped off of it. This vessel was much more sizable and probably a bit more imposing or seafaring, but they basically took everything except the pieces that kept it floating.
Rostafan will look to the pale lady and say, "Thought he said he had money."
He said he had a ship. But it is not one that can... I'm trying to think how I want to word this.
She gives up.
Weather
She
the
stops
storm.
talking.
Oh. It is not one that could weather the tides. I see.
Does this thing look like it can even float?
Yes.
Okay.
For all intents and purposes, it is a ship, and it will get you from isle to isle, but it will take work if it is to travel as he promised.
Hmm.
I'll fucking leave.
Yeah.
Even
You know that image
Um,
doesn't exist anywhere on Google. Could not find it.
I know you can't. I need to fucking take a high resolution scan of it
Yeah.
and post it on Google a bunch of times with like the exact phrase "Don't all leave." Um,
They were a
him having
motley assortment,
yeah
says
him
Davis, looking over.
having gestured to them to Davis, he'll say, "I have assembled a crew of extraordinary persons." He'll say, "I am in their debt, as I would have been consumed by rats on the first night without them. They have places to be on these isles, and Anaphalie will get them there. I gave them my word. But they
They
are
help
hard."
us.
He'll nod and he'll say, "They are very hard workers, and their skills are plentiful. There is
Let me,
money to be made here on these isles. Will help us shove off as we begin our journey." He'll say, "The business now, it is but a seed. Unfortunately, this seed, though thrown from its pot, lies next to plentiful soil, water, and sunlight. There is no better way, no, there's no better place to start over than the Port of the Nameless. We are undaunted, Davis. Be undaunted."
he will. Yeah, man. I mean, I won't even have you roll for that. That was fucking great. He will look down at this collection of people you've brought, these degenerates, and no, and he will say, "We may not be able to kill Tyburn, but we can hurt him. Sure as the ocean will rise."
Yeah, he will. His grip will tighten on the cane, and he'll say, "Tyburn was never in my reach, but somebody put those coffins in my beloved Anaphalie. I will find them, and by the very gods as my witness, they will pay tenfold for what they've done to us."
Yeah. Robert Davis will just kind of like clasp his hands behind his back, and there'll be a kind of a shot of you, a captain, return to a ship. And though decrepit as it might be, there's a certain kind of majesty to you as you stand with your cane firmly placed.
Yeah, he'll start descending down the. Do you call it a catwalk?
Fuck, it's not the gang. I think it's gangway.
I think it's the
Gangplank.
gangplank. It's the gangplank.
Right.
Gangplank. Okay.
He'll start descending down the gangplank, and not being shy about it, he'll clap his hands together, and he'll say, "So you can see, the Anaphalie is a bit worse for wear than I had previously believed.
She will
However,"
not be able to cross the Siren Sea.
he'll hold a finger up and he'll say, "She was never going to be able to cross the Siren Sea at first. You'll remember I told you, not a galleon. But she is marvelous. She has been marvelous, and she will be marvelous again." He'll
How long?
say, he'll say, "As soon as can be. But nothing happens if our feet aren't moving. There is money to be made. We will go and make it."
How much money do we need to make to get the hands to do this?
Um,
I'll be upfront mechanically. You do not have to worry about that with the money you've been afforded. But it's going to take a few days
okay.
just to corral the crew necessary. At which point you would be able to leave this place.
All right. Well, I'll wind that back a little bit, and or rather, I'll think about what Rastavan has brought to light, and he'll say, "Fortunately, for the maiden voyage, we have the funds to cover through all of our plundering on the Isle of Rats. However, it should be. What do you think about like 3 days?
Yeah, let's do that. 3 days
Say,
works.
in 3 days' time, we may leave the port.
Hmm.
Very
Yeah.
well.
Good enough by me. No rats here, so.
Captain, you'll hear Robert Davis call.
Yeah, he'll immediately look to him.
I'll put my mind and my honor to this task. I promise in 3 days you will have a crew.
He'll nod and he'll say, "Excellent as always, First Mate Davis."
Sir. He will salute, and you will see him return to the ship, apparently trying to gather some things. But then, almost kind of breaking his very rigid air, he will look over the side and say, Captain, the professor came here a week ago. He dumped those fish tanks on the ground and said that he'd be at the porterhouse. I told him you were stuck on the Isles, and he waved me off. He said you should find him when you got back.
He will turn and start to walk, and he'll say, "Then I'd best not keep him waiting."
And almost having had it pointed out to you, will see 4 diminutive kind of fish tanks. Though large, they just seem to disappear against the vastness of this warehouse. And you'll just see like newly minted kind of glass aquariums situated against the wall as you walk past.
Excellent fish tanks.
Yep, yep.
Very good.
You can keep pets.
Yeah.
We got,
Feed 'em.
yeah, we got pets in this. We got fish fight. You ready?
All
Oh,
right.
fuck yeah.
You got to tap A as fast as you can. This is innovative gameplay. This is good shit.
It's good. Spin the control stick around.
And you do know that the porterhouse is over here. It's kind of like a smoking lounge for the more erudite. It's definitely a place where bankers and the like tend to wind down after a long day of numbers.
Excellent.
But let's see what Crow is up to as you cut away from the group earlier.
He's just at a fishing vendor, replenishing his supply of ropes and hooks, which have steadily over time lessened in quantity on his body and possessions.
Yeah, perfect.
I given this is like one of the main hubs, I have ostensibly what is Crow has like some kind of Ron Swanson relationship with the one vendor who sells these items to his liking, who he has a customer relationship with.
Yeah, I like the idea that this dude says, Crow, good to see you.
Aye.
You look a bit light. Nothing we can't fix.
2 medium, 3 small hooks, 50 feet of length of rope. he talks over him and starts like listing off his usual order.
Yeah, he honestly smiles warmly enough as he reaches over the counter, and you can see him kind of disappear into the back a bit, but he's always listening very attentively to your order. Coming away with plenty of ropes and hooks as he does so.
It's very transactional as I take this, but I make what form of conversation Crow does with him, which is I would like to initiate a create advantage investigate roll to create advantage on my target, as he says, Parliament of Pleasure.
Yeah. Joseph Bissett.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. I just knew where you were going.
This also says the fishbowl, so I wouldn't have gathered that was the right one.
I'm gonna do that a little better. Prominent Pleasure, the fishbowl, that's the location. He will seem a bit shocked at the introduction of more dialogue, but he will smile again and say, the champ, of course. Joseph Bissett. Only seen one of his fights, but even that was something to remember. What do you want to know?
What dost thou remember?
Yeah, okay, let's go ahead and give me the investigate. Let's see. Challenge of 2, it's been a while. And this is secondhand information. Nice.
You know, I was prepared to spend a fate point, so I will.
Okay. Nice.
Going to invoke. I could just do. I imagine you've described this as a bustling marketplace.
Oh yeah, there are plenty of people about.
I will invoke that. It'll sort of be a montage from my chumly companion here to Crow just sort of milling about on the streets, generally looking threatening, getting really into people's personal spaces, and having them tell him about the champ.
Yeah, they will do that, but not only that, they will tell you about Moray. It appears as though all battles in the Fishbowl are duos. A 2v2 battle of might and wits. And what kind of transpires is a story of a champion. A man who was warped into the shape of a crab, kind of with his 2 large piercers, ready to rend anyone's skin that they should meet. And the unlikely friend that he found in Moray, a appropriately named eel companion, a man with a long neck that terminates in a vicious eel face. And these two, kind of their unlikely story and their rise to prominence within the Fishbowl. And throughout that, you kind of hear tales about the way that the champ will hold down a target while Moray's long face lashes out and tears away the throat. All manner of grisly executions, all kind of recounted with the story of myth.
So yeah, we'll get this
Yep.
voiceover narration from the people who know it, and it's sort of fading out as Crow is lurching southward, fully hooked, fully roped, all geared up, as he'll push into the denoted factory, look around, and with an echoing, unintentional bellow, he'll say, "Destitute."
It'll be nothing until eventually Robert Davies crests the other side of the ship and says, "What was that?"
"Where beest the monstrosity?"
Oh no.
Yeah. Sir, he'll say plainly.
Crow searches his brain for a really long time. "Ricote."
You must be confused, sir. He is
Nay.
a noble man, not a... He will look very disappointed down from the gangway, and he will say, "The porterhouse, if he'll have you." He will turn back.
I turn away and I leave.
You two are going to be best friends. I can't wait for that to work out. Yeah, it's the porterhouse, which is not a hard thing to find. I'm kind of leading eastward.
Crow makes sure to put on a sports jacket over his coat and vestments. So I look like a football player.
Yeah, people keep calling you champ and pointing out the numbers on your back. They're loving it. But Rakote and the rest, you'll eventually find your way to the porterhouse, which is just a immaculate wooden wooden building, kind of carved out of mahogany. Every end of it seems to have been polished, kind of with a welcoming air, almost like a speakeasy. You will see drinks and smokes, just kind of being taken at leisure inside.
Yeah, I'll amble right in.
All right. I know this is a little bit of setup and kind of just getting your bearings, but I promise next week when we open up, it'll be a little more open, and
Yeah,
you'll have a little
totally
more
fine.
agency. But when you walk in, it is a lot of men in a lot of powdered wigs, many of which are kind of like held against their knees, exposing bald heads that just kind of glisten, some of which are matte with the powder used to keep them in place. And there's a few casual glances, and a few antagonistic ones, specifically to you, Rakote.
Oh, I imagine so.
But no one makes any attempt to really recognize or call you. That is until you reach the second flight of stairs. You see a kind of portly man smile over a large cigar and say, Rakote, welcome!
Yeah, he will look up and smile and say, Professor.
You only kept me waiting a week. That's good time.
I'll say, Yes, well, the Isle of Rats waits for no man.
That's what I was telling my friend here, he will say, pointing to a man directly across from him whose face is completely obscured in smoke. He seems to just exude it out of every kind of like out of his mouth and his nose. The only thing that gives you any indication that there's a person underneath it is a kind of well manicured suit. But you will just kind of faintly see the silhouette of a head nod in your direction as Carl turns back to you and says, A man with a drive to take on Tyburn can't be stopped by a few rats. I knew you'd get out sooner than later. It appears I'm right on both accounts.
Rakote will pull out his own seat and sort of fall into it. And he'll tap his nails on the table and he'll say, Yes, well, I've quite the experience dealing with rats, having Tyburn breathing down my neck for so long.
Yes, you really did make it difficult, didn't you?
He'll nod and he'll look to the other two, and he'll say, "Please sit, join us."
Friends, he'll say, kind of pointing between the two of them, looking at you, Rakote.
No.
No. Yeah, he'll nod once.
He will just say, Well, friends, you should know that your friend here has a very troubled history. He's a man who was foolish enough to take on a king. Not only that, the one's bankrolling him. You can't stop people with money any more than you can stop the sun from rising, he'll say with like a very practiced kind of way. And Rakote, you've heard this shit so many times. This dude says it all the time. He's always on about the power of money.
Yeah, he's just tapping his nails.
But, despite all odds, my friend has returned. And I'm happy for it. You will see a general warmth.
Yeah, Rakote will say, So, what is it that you wanted to see me about?
It may seem a bit dry after your recent adventures, but I am still a professor, and my tenure must be earned. And he will kind of pull out a bit of parchment. And he will hold it flatly and say, An inquiry. There are 24 unique species of fish around the shallows that I must have. Now, you must not be... you don't have to be the one to deliver all of them, per se, but I could do you a kindness for going out of your way. Friends help friends.
I'll say, that they do. And it just so happens that my crew will be making several stops across the Isles.
He will smile a bit and say, Always busy, Rakote. That's why I knew you were the man to see. Never a minute wasted.
Let's say, yes, well, there's not much to do but pass the time, except for fishing on those lonesome ocean nights.
He will, you really sour his mood. He kind of looks at his drink like, ugh, Why did you have to bring that up? There's kind of a little bit of a removedness from him, but he will just say, yes, so it's been said.
Um,
Go ahead.
I want to inspire him to make me an advantage towards this.
Oh, okay.
Um, so I don't know if this should be a rapport roll.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. So
Kind of get him to talk. Find
yeah,
him useful.
Rakote will say, surely, Professor, in your studies you've happened upon some helpful tidbits of information regarding these fish you hope to collect. I'll say, the friend that I left behind was nothing if not meticulous and learned.
At this point, Crow, you can enter. This is not the friend you were talking about, but
Yeah.
you can
Crow
find
enters
your
stage
way
right.
out. He will just say, how much time do you have?
He'll say, well, I don't leave port for 3 days, but I don't
I
know
can
that
speed things along. I understand. I am but one old friend. I'm sure there are many more. And, oh yeah, no, that'll succeed. He will regale you with some of the finer details of his expedition and what he's hoping that you'll find. So you can add a +2 to a fish challenge whenever you find one of these shores.
Right, great.
And just so you know, this is the quest rewards, Carl Linnaeus rewards. The way this works is when you capture a fish, you can say, I am donating this. It'll immediately be removed from your inventory, and I will fill it in the table.
Awesome.
So, quite a few things. Not necessary for you to collect everything, of course, but some sizable kind of rewards buried in there.
Excellent. Sorry, I was just denoting that.
Yeah.
Just denoting that.
Yeah, exactly. You do unfortunately have to arrive on a port and then deliver it there, but
Yeah.
it could find its way to him. You'd know how to prepare a fish, so it's not lost.
All right. No problem.
And he will, kind of looking at you for a minute, you'll see always have an eye cast to his left towards the Pale Lady. Which he eventually, kind of having the business done here, will turn his body towards you fully, Pale Lady, and say, and though I would like to spend all my time catching up, there is another I should be introduced to. And he kind of waits for you to make the introductions for Kote.
Yes. He will kind of look from the professor to the Pale Lady, and picking up on what it is, he'll say, yes, of course. Is it Linnaeus?
Oh, Linnaeus.
I'll say, Professor Carl Linnaeus, the Pale Lady. Pale Lady, Professor Carl Linnaeus.
I am
Miley.
aware of his
Go ahead.
name.
Oh, sorry, I spoke over you. Go ahead.
She just said I'm aware of his name.
Oh, really? Oh, okay.
Oh, he already introduced himself, so.
Yeah, he will just say, and I, you. This is a great privilege. I've dedicated years, more than I'd like to admit, to studying that vast blue. And he will say, surely there is some wisdom I could glean from you. Willing you could afford me the time.
I would gladly educate you.
He will just... He's more excited about that than Rakote. I'm going to be honest with you. You can see just kind of like a gleam in his eyes as he just says, this is splendid. Drinks, cigars, anything. All of you. And he will just kind of like points to each of you in turn.
The Pale Lady doesn't really seem to have any interest of the fineries at the table. If anything, she seems very out of place. But she smiles kindly, regardless. and she seems pleased that there is perhaps someone who is interested about hearing the sincerity of her message as opposed to the lost cause that was the Isle of Rats.
That's a good way of summarizing the Isle of Rats. Lost cause.
I am so sorry to bring this
Nope.
up, but I cannot stay up much longer.
Oh, we're done. We are done right now. As Carl orders a drink, and all of them are delivered, and he will raise a glass and say, "To new beginnings."
Rakote, who did not hesitate on reaching for both cigar and drink, will raise his own and say, to new beginnings.
All right.
A man in a porcelain mask will walk over and lean into the group and say,
No.
I'm so sorry to interrupt all of you, but I must ask this gentleman, what is your name, sir? To Rakote.
Look to Rakote.
Yes, this club caters to a certain quality of individual, and I'm afraid this is simply the rules. I have to ask you to evacuate and immediately kill yourself at once.
I understand. Such is the wave, the port of the nameless.
Carl
Fare you well.
offers you his pistol.
Thank you.
Thank you.
How to save a life? Where did I go wrong?
Yeah, Rakote grabs the absurdly long-barreled revolver.
He has to use his feet to trigger it. It's so fucking far from his mouth. If you run, you can pull the trigger, run to the other end, and shoot yourself. That's how long this gun is.
It's my favorite image.
You pull the trigger, and the first domino is knocked over.
All right. So next week, Pour the Nameless. You guys are gonna have plenty of time. Ideally, I'd like everybody to at least stick like 2 to a group, just so we don't have everybody running apart. But you'll have time to interview or look into what's interesting or what plot points inspire you before we head out into the water.
Don't tell me how to play a game.
He can't make
or
us.
we
If
can just sit
wanna go
here
on our own. He'll let us.
Oh God, fine. I mean, I will let you. I'm just, I guess 4 players isn't too bad, but
whatever
I'm
you
gonna
want.
run right to that 12-foot tall boy.
I'm serious. Don't do it.
Do it.
don't do it.
Fucking just leave the dog
Lord.
lost. You don't want to do this.
That location has 2 quests. Those are separate.
Okay, you could do the one.
That's the same way this is.
So
two
wait, one
separate.
of these quests is just a lost dog poster, and it doesn't have to do with the 12-foot kid.
Hey, let's
Yep.
go.
Yes.
Yeah, but watch, that's like the richest person in the island's dog that'll give us like +5 and +5. I will still forgo it to find out what's up with the tall 12-year-old
The doll boy.
tall boy.
A 12-foot tall can waits for you.